Hey Tom, how you doing?
Hey Mike, how's it going?
Yeah, good. So how'd you get on down in Texas?
Great. I think the guys really like the system. They seem to take to it very well. Yeah.
So you've been showing them the data collect, the handheld?
Yeah. We'd previously just talked about like the tablet and maybe some stationary, PCs with a touchscreen.
Yeah.
But I think the guys are really going to like the handheld because of the portability. We're getting a lot of vehicles going offline for repair. We're trying to cut that down to improve our efficiency, and this is going to let us do that, especially on the repair side. Put this in the operator's hands. He can scan the the broadcast sheet or paperwork.
So, what was it? Is there a barcode scanner?
Yep, we've got a 2D scanner here. Actually, we can get GPS cellular capability, anything that we want.
Okay.
It's a little over 2 pounds, and the best thing all is we get through a whole shift with it.
We've always been 2 pound in weight, not in money.
No, unfortunately, a lot more than 2 pounds, but it's still reasonable. But we had the problem also. It's got the Wi-Fi. We always had problems with the units going dead halfway through the shift.
Yeah.
We're getting like 10 hours, so we're able to have a couple of overtime shifts. Everything we're doing real well with it. So the guys really like it.
So now you're using this as well for this checklist, this question answer concept.
Yeah, we're shipping vehicles all over the globe, obviously, to the Gulf countries. We were having a lot of problems with the misbuilds.
Yeah.
We were sending out units with the wrong mirrors, wrong radio, wrong owner documentation. So we had to do something. We were getting killed. So, the Pocket Checklist application allows us to answer our configurable checklists based on where the vehicle's destined for, the final destination, and actually answer those questions one by one. And we get that's a correct response or an incorrect response, so forth.
So you get the question, I put the answer in, and then it will come back. If I put a wrong answer in?
The second I touch the answer, it attempts to go to the next question. If the answer is wrong, or not wrong, but not what we were expecting, then we prompt the operator with an error message that's specific to the question, and then it asks, do you want to continue, or what you want to re-answer that question? So it's very intuitive. I mean, the operators, like I said, took to it immediately.
Yeah, no problems with using the system. And
the one thing we had a little difficulty with is some of the guys we recently hired, that are Spanish speaking primarily. They had trouble with some of the English terms, some of the technical part names and things like that. So we just went back in through the admin tool that we use to actually set up those things in Spanish. So now when those guys log into the system with their user ID or their password, we know that they prefer to speak Spanish, and we'll show everything on the screen in Spanish. Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with my reports, Tom.
Well, you might not like all the content in it, but no, as far as language, since you're an English speaker, it knows that, and will show everything to you in English.
Okay. So,
although it was collected in Spanish and
based
reported.
upon my login, my password, I'll get the right language.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's
so
correct.
My reports will still be in English.
That's correct. Absolutely.
Okay. And how do we get on with the tablet?
The tablet. This was what we started out with. I think the users really like it. It's pin based. It's lightweight. I think it's like 2.5 pounds approximately.
Yeah.
Not that much different than the handheld.
Right.
But they really like the fact that it's got the portrait or the landscape orientation. Because that allows more flexibility. If we're just looking at incoming materials, for example, that tend to be more vertical, we can look at those things in a portrait or a landscape orientation.
Right. So we got a picture of the product on here. They see the defect. They mark the defect.
Right. They basically simply touch the screen where they see the defect. It gives a list of possible defects.
Yeah.
They hit the one that they see, say okay, it's in. It's part of the vehicle history at that point,
Right. Okay.
and we won't allow it to be shipped with any of those open defects.
Okay. So we were talking the last time how this is actually working in the repair bay, the way how are the repairs being handled?
Right. Well, we got two things. Obviously we're using the same device here that we use for checklist. There's another application called Pocket Repair. So we're able to actually capture a lot of those items before they ever go offline. We're able to dispatch people to the point they're needed, and they basically simply scan any of the paperwork for the vehicle or the VIN through the glass, and it brings up all of the open defects. Okay, but if it gets past that point and goes offline, basically now the managers down there have better visibility. There's some reporting that will show us what's in their area, currently parked there, how long it's been there, and what's wrong with it.
Okay, so this, which I suppose it's the same hardware, but
Yes.
you've got one version which is collecting the data, it's answering the questions on the checklist.
That's correct.
And then I've got this pocket repair
That's correct.
function.
Correct.
But how do I make sure that my repairs are good and that I've only got good product coming out?
Right. Well, in the past we weren't doing this, but there's been a push to actually confirm the quality of the repairs.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to repair the defect. We want to make sure the quality is correct, that the steps were followed, and that a senior person is comfortable with the result.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have a third application using the same hardware again called Pocket Confirmation.
Okay.
And basically they can scan again the same bodywork or paperwork on the vehicle, and they actually can look to see which repairs have not been confirmed. So they can then either accept or reject that repair,
right,
and to kind of close the loop. So
okay, so I find my defect, I go into the repair, I confirm the repair has been, and this is all being held on the central server. So
that's correct.
And we've got a full interface back with the
That's
ERP SAP system.
That's correct. Yes, we have even down to the point of cost information. So
Great.
not only do we know what we did to repair, we know the cost of that repair.
Yeah.
We're using the costing module, which actually has a time to repair for all of the standard repairs. And actually, we can use that standard time for our estimates, or we can actually put in actual time. So if we want the operator to actually put in the amount of time to actually do the repair, we can look at a variance between what our standard told us it should be and what the actual time was.
And I can get all of that information back into my SAP for my costing and purposes.
You just open up Internet Explorer, go to the company Internet Server quality, and there you're there.
So tell me about this. Somebody was talking about this buckle problem.
Oh, yeah,
so
yeah.
What happened there?
Well, we had a guy that, a relief worker, as it turns out, but we were reporting a lot of scratches in the system, and we have what they call triggers set up in our event service to tell us when we see trends occurring, as quickly as possible.
Right.
So we had a trigger set up for 3 scratches in 1 hour. We're trying to lower the mutilation, system damage and chips and scratches, things like that throughout the plant.
Right.
So we set up a trigger, says if I see 3 of any of the identical defect in any 1 hour period, I want you to SMS the managers on their phones.
Okay, so I can send a message back to the...
Correct.
Okay.
Standard text message, to any of the Nextel phones, like for example what we're carrying.
Can I take that?
Sure.
Thanks. So what's going to be the... in terms of emails, I suppose that's probably not so interesting for that type of response.
No, it's okay, but it's obviously email's another, pull technology. We have to go in and look at the email, and if we don't respond or look at our email, we don't see it. Yeah. So again, the text messaging is probably the way we want to use it.
Way. So I just get it on my mobile phone. And,
absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
We also some of our users have email on their phone, so they do get that immediately in the notification. But we're also want to send the information to some of our displays we have on the floor with our top quality issues. We can now drive information to those either on a scheduled basis or whenever one of these triggers fires. So we're able to see that information in a lot of different ways, and we don't have to look for it. It comes to us.
So, and you've also started adding SPC to the reporting.
Correct. We have all these automated test equipment such as brake fill, and we also have the engine diagnostics. Okay. And we also have wheel alignment. And basically we have now tied all those into that same checklist functionality, but it's entered automatically through one of the services, as they call it, and there's no human interaction involved. It just automatically comes into the system. So we're able to put vehicle holds on for any of those failures as well, because if we get an unexpected result or is missing, we will put a defect on the unit. So we're holding those units that have problems in those areas.
And the VP operations was telling me that you've also started changing the reporting. We got the classic reporting with the filters and
correct. Yeah, the classic reporting obviously is excellent and suits most of our needs. But the supplier, the vendor for the software, came out and said that they had an advanced reporting package, and what it's providing now is a lot of the similar type of reporting, but maybe in some different areas that they weren't covering before. But it has a subscription and a scheduling capability, so that you like your reports in your mailbox 7 a.m. Monday morning, every morning of the week. So now we're able to automate that process.
Yeah, it's pretty much gets it.
And I can even send it to you at midnight the night before if you want it earlier. So we can send that to you in PDF.
And that's based on Microsoft. What was it? Microsoft
SQL Server reporting services. It's a standard off-the-shelf technology. We use SQL Server throughout the company anyway. It's free. It's included in the products. There's no extra cost. But it's a great platform for us to be able to do reporting. We're actually even able to have our own IT developers go in and add additional reports with no problem at all.
So this whole thing with Microsoft Business Intelligence, I can share some of the information that we're getting out of the Inspect system on the quality.
Correct.
And I can share that data with other data in other systems.
Correct, because we have a data warehousing initiative, so it's going to use the OLAP, capability and multidimensional analysis, things like that. So we're going to be able to leverage all that quality information in those ways as well. It's just no work.
What do you think is going to? I mean, if we just take so we're collecting some data automatically out of the system. We're able to populate the database. We're getting some of the SPC stuff out.
Correct.
Are we also going back into the controls? Are we making giving any instructions to the control systems? Or?
Yes, we're not really adjusting anything as far as the processes go. But for example, out in the paint and body shops, we have actually implemented a system now where we are actually routing vehicles in the conveyor system automatically. Okay. We used to have one person at the end of the polish line that was making a go no go decision. Using the standard PLC and control panel. Well, we were able to integrate that directly into the data collect application, so they can manually route if they like. But what we've recently done is we've automated that process. We were able to take that person out of the process and make that decision through the Inspect software.
So the vehicle is being automatically sent into the repair.
The system looks at the vehicle and says, are there any open defects? And then if there are, based on the severity, the highest severity, we will either send it to spot repair or directly to be repainted or release it to our trim scheduling bank and store it there.
So you got any thoughts yet on what we're going to do with the aftermarket? The vehicles have left. A defect is reported back from the dealer.
There's a possibility, I think, of creating a web portal potentially that the dealers could hook into, enter the vehicle identification number and some kind of password that we'd give the dealer to uniquely identify them, and they actually could put defects in to the system externally.
We could provide them with the same devices potentially
potentially, but again, we can do that directly over the web as well. So there's depending on the investment that the dealer wants to make, we can do it one of a couple of different ways. But yes, the capability is there.
Because that would give us a real good closed loop. I mean,
absolutely.
instead of we'd know what's happening in the dealer network, it would be immediate.
Absolutely.
And we could respond to those problems a little bit quicker too.
Right. Well, and you might know we're also using their audit module, which gives us a nice look based upon JD Power types of surveys. So now we're able to kind of predict our JD Power ratings.
What's JD Power?
It's the rating system that's used a lot in the U.S. and other parts of the world to track quality. You can measure quality for manufacturing, airline reservation systems, virtually anything. But the JD Power survey is modeled in the software so that I can do a detailed audit of any of our vehicles and in essence get a score and predict what our scores are going to be when they're released formally by JD Power.
Okay, so before we get the results,
so hopefully we can influence the result.
I also understand that the audit function. I mean, we're coming up to be able to provide ISO 9000 audit functions in the system.
Correct. With a little bit of modification, yes. That's one of our.
Well,
goals.
Tom, we're going to talk about how much these modifications are going to take.
Prepare your budget.
Okay.
Prepare your budget.
Okay, so we're pretty much on track with the project.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, I know that there's a lot of appreciation for what's been done because we've seen a very significant reduction in the defects, as you know. So,
yes.
Thanks, Tom. And,
sure.
I'll be seeing you after your next trip. Where are you off to?
Either Georgia or Washington.
Enjoy.
State.
And,
thank you.
Hopefully no Spanish. Or,
no Spanish, but we may have language problems anyway, so we'll deal with them.
Okay, good luck, Tom.
Thank you. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Have a good trip. I can't remember if we...